I'd like to take this chance to apologize to absolutely nobody.
It's time!
It's Monday, February 15th, 2021. This is the Church of MMA podcast. My name is Tabor Cragen.
My name is Mason Knight. This is episode 61, the UFC 258 recap. Then we jump into some MMA news, and then we preview the Blaydes versus Lewis heavyweight main event. But before we do that, Tabor, where do we begin?
With our social media accounts, Mason, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, and Gab at the Church of MMA. Guys, if you aren't following us, make sure you go and do it. We are posting funny memes. We're trying to make you guys laugh. Clips of the show every day. Hit us up.
Check out our YouTube channel too, guys. We're up to 431 subs. We really need to hit that 1,000 mark so we can start live streaming our fight companions and a lot of other things in the works. And if you guys want to get some church merch, hey, like this shirt I'm wearing right here, you guys can find that link in the description below.
Absolutely. Mason, we have a huge card and a huge night to recap.
Yeah, we really do. It's a little weird. We're meeting up on Monday this week, but for those of you who don't live in Washington or Oregon, goodness gracious, we got hit with a blizzard, 10 to 12 inches of snow, man. Yeah, that was pretty wild.
I wasn't expecting that. I mean, they were saying snow was coming for a couple weeks now, and it snowed, what, an inch last week?
Yeah.
And then I was like, another inch. Fucking a foot just dumps. Like, oh,
yeah.
Shit.
I mean, you think about where we live, too. Every single year, they're like, a snowstorm's coming, and we get like a half an inch, and it snows for like 30 minutes. And I'm like, are you guys kidding me or
what?
we're
right at sea level, so we never get anything.
But man, we sure did get it. We got it big time, man. So that's why we're that's why we're a day late here, guys. Just so you guys know. But man, I cannot wait to talk about this. Let's talk about Camaro Usman, or Camaro, as Bruce Buffer said, versus Gilbert Burns. Where do we begin with this? I mean, we obviously have to talk about pre-fight. Mm-hmm. These two line up. You know, the refs giving them instructions.
Yeah, and I have to add, Burns looks nervous. Did he not look nervous to you before the fight even started? It was his facial expressions. Am I crazy for thinking that?
Well, you know, that's something I really didn't notice. If I'm being
Camaro looked
honest.
focused. He looked like he was ready to go in for the kill right off the bat.
And I'm going to go on Burns a little spiel about Camaro Usman here in a minute. But yeah, you know, Gilbert Burns looked great in that first round. I mean, in the
first round, he looked
Camaro
fantastic.
Usman. Yeah. He rocked Usman, landed a huge shot. I thought for a second he was going to be able to finish him. Obviously, being the champ that he is, he was able to recover, and he looked great in the second round and finished Gilbert Burns in the third round. And we got to say it, the word of the day, folks, jab. The most simple, I mean, the punch you learn, the first, I mean, and again, I'm not even a light belt, you know, I'm a nobody. But I've gone to, you know, like kickboxing classes, which, you know, I mean, come on, guys, like I'm not a fighter, but you do it to stay in shape. Yeah. The first thing they teach you is jab. Obviously. I mean, it's the first thing. Yet a champion of the world won a fight off his jab. I mean, dude, what a stinger that thing is, too.
Well, you heard Trevor Whitman. You're a champion because your jab.
Yeah.
You're a champion because of your jab. And it was the jab that dropped him multiple times.
Yes, it was.
Absolutely insane, dude. He really does have a stiff jab, dude. Like none other really in the welterweight division. I mean, there's not many jabs you could really compare that to. And Kamaru's not really a guy we talk about his striking all the time. Everyone always likes to talk about how his clinch work is so good, his wrestling is so good, his pressure up against the fence is so good. But he outstruck a very dangerous Gilbert Burns.
Yes, he did.
I mean, I'm not trying to take anything away from Camaro's performance, but there was something about Burns, and I don't know what it was. Maybe he wasn't nervous. He's a professional fighter. He's been in there so many times. He's gotten so many great victories. World champion, Brazilian jiu-jitsu guy. But for some reason, when I looked at his face before the fight started, I felt a little off. It looked like he was uncomfortable to me.
Well, you know, for whatever reason, this week, and I think it's because I had nothing to do. I was snowed in. I watched every possible thing. I watched the countdown. I watched all the embeddeds. I watched the post-fight interviews. And something that Gilbert Burns brought up is he said, you know, I can't make mistakes. He goes, I got a little too excited in the first round. I put out too much energy. And he goes, you know, fighting the champion, I can't make those mistakes. He goes, Camaro Usman doesn't make those mistakes. I made that mistake. He goes, and that's something I got to work on. And I think that's a lot of what that stemmed from. I mean, you have to think about all the nervous energy of one fighting a friend and former teammate.
Yeah.
I mean, that puts enough stress on you to begin with, because you have trained with this man for 7 years and you're finally going to compete against him on the biggest stage in the world. That is just astronomically huge, right? And then you have the added element of having a dominant champion who has won 17 straight fights, just beat GSP's record for consecutive wins in the welterweight division.
Yeah, that's crazy. That's not in just the UFC, correct? That is overall in MMA, something like that. Because I don't think he's even had 17 fights in the UFC, so it must be throughout his MMA career.
It would have to be.
Yeah.
To get back to my point, though, Camaro Usman, with Gilbert Burns dealing with all this added pressure, I think the moment got to him. I don't think so too. But I don't think Gilbert Burns looked terrible.
No, I think he looked great in the first round, especially after he dropped him.
And he is the number one contender in this division. There was no one else in this division that deserved this shot more than Gilbert Burns. And I'm telling you right now, you string together Gilbert Burns, it's not over for you. You string 2, maybe 3 impressive wins. I'd give him 2. You can get another shot. I mean, this division too. I mean, Camaro Usman has essentially decimated this division
already.
And let's talk about his call out. Do we want to talk about that?
Yeah, let's talk about that.
Actually, you know what? Before that, let's talk about this. Obviously, these two, Gilbert Burns reached out to, if you guys want to touch gloves, go ahead. Camaro Usman didn't.
Yeah.
I want to talk about this, okay? And I noticed that ESPN on Facebook and all this made this comparison, but I thought about this. I swear to you. I thought about it right away. I go, oh my God, that is the most perfect mind game ever. And you know who it reminded me of? Michael Jordan. Michael Jordan, you could be his best friend in the world, but if you wanted what he wanted, you're not taking it from him. And Michael Jordan would literally make things up in his head. And then Camaro Usman literally came out and said that when I watched The Last Dance, which is a 10-part Michael Jordan documentary on the Chicago Bulls, Michael Jordan said, I would just find things to motivate me. Even off things that no one would think would irritate me, I would find something. And Camaro Usman goes, yeah, that sounds a lot like me. And that's who Camaro Usman is, man. He could very well be the Michael Jordan of UFC and of this welterweight division. We could never see this man lose. I think the closest fight, I was so stoked after this fight. This morning, I literally, I was on the stair stepper and I was watching Camaro Usman versus Colby Covington.
Yeah.
And that was a phenomenal fight.
Yeah, it was a great fight.
Outside of that,
now there's a narrative. Camaro's never lost a round and stuff like that. Like, what the fuck, guys? He was about to lose that fight against Colby in that 5th.
He's definitely lost a round.
He's definitely lost a few rounds. It was just, but yeah, back to Camaro, dude, because I agree with you. I mean, he very well could be the greatest welterweight ever. Yeah. If he continues to go like this. I mean, yeah, like you said, like we said earlier, he pretty much did decimate. He beat George. He beat Colby. He beat Leon already. The only guy he hasn't fought is Steve Wonderboy Thompson, who's asking for that fight. Let's go into the call out because he's very, very excited for the rematch, the Jorge rematch. I mean, can you blame him? Everyone's saying it's going to be the easiest matchup out of everyone in the top 5, and it's his biggest payday. Can't blame the man for wanting that fight.
So, do I blame Camaro Usman? Absolutely not. As you just said, biggest payday, easiest. I don't want to say easiest because
I think it is though. I mean, no offense to Jorge Masvidal. We all know what he can do, but we all saw that first fight.
Yeah, no, I know. But again, that was on, 8 days notice or whatever. There was a excuse baked into the goods of what Jorge Masvidal was for that fight. But again, I don't want to see this fight.
Me neither. I thought I was the only one. No. Thank goodness.
As much as I love Jorge Masvidal, as much as I'm really loving Camaro Usman and what he does for the welterweight division, I don't want to see that rematch.
Me neither.
You know what rematch really strikes a nerve with me?
Leon Edwards,
Colby Covington.
Yes. It's the only two.
Those are the two I want to see. Make. One, Leon Edwards. How many years ago was that? 5?
Oh, very long.
5 or 6 years
They're both early in their career, and Leon hasn't lost since.
He's won 8 fights in a row in the welterweight division. I mean, we're looking at another Charles Oliveira situation here.
Absolutely.
Where it's like at some point in kudos to Dana. I know that
I don't give a fuck.
I know you don't, Dana, but I got to give you a little bit of credit here. I was really concerned for Leon Edwards, and then he came out and said, hey, look, this guy was going to take Hamzachimayev, number 15. He's got to go up. So Colby Covington is the guy that makes sense. I feel like this has all been set up because they definitely want Jorge Masvidal versus Camaro Usman because that is the biggest payday, not just for the fighters, but for the UFC in general. That could very well, if they stack the undercard or the co-main and stuff, that could very well do 2 million buys with Jorge Masvidal.
2 million, maybe.
Yes, with the right promotion.
Connor Poirier only did what, 1.6? I think it was like 1.6 or something.
Jorge
like
Masvidal on 8 days' notice did 1.7, 1.8 million buys on 8 days' notice.
I guess maybe. It depends on how well they promote
promotion. You do the countdown. You do the embedded, the grudge rematch. Whoa, Jorge Masvidal's got a full camp. Is he going to be? And no, it's going to be more of the same. Kamaru's going to take him down, beat the shit out of him for 5 rounds. And there's a belt. Yeah. So
always helps. I love the call out. I don't love the matchup as well.
No,
I mean, I agree 100%. It's Colby Covington, Leon Edwards. It's that or bust.
Yeah.
But I mean, okay, let's talk a little bit about Gilbert Burns, though. I mean, he's got to have a big fight still. He is still the number 1 contender unless Colby just jumps him. But if they do Leon versus Colby, which is supposedly, rumor has it, is in the works, I mean, that's the new number 1 contender fight. That's who fights for the belt next, after Jorge Masvidal or something like that. So we'll see. It just shocks me they're not doing Colby Masvidal. I thought that was the fight to make, and now no one cares the last few weeks. Just kind of fell off the radar completely. It is a little sad, but dude, let's talk Gilbert before we move on to the next fight. I mean, what do we do with him next? I mean, maybe a loser of that fight. You got to Stephen Wonderboy Thompson out there, Michael Chiesa. I mean, I do think they're names.
Well, that's what's so insane here. So Gilbert Burns being the number 1 contender in the world, just lost to Camaro Usman. You have Colby Covington versus Leon Edwards. It's supposedly in the works, not confirmed, in the works. Then you're going to get Camaro Usman versus Jorge Masvidal at number 4. So that does leave just Stephen Wonderboy Thompson and Michael Chiesa, maybe a Tyron Woodley, but no one wants to see that. Gilbert Burns already fucking smashed him for 5 minutes. Yeah. So you are left with 2 options. Stephen Wonderboy Thompson, Michael Chiesa. I think Thompson will take that fight.
I love both of those fights.
I like Michael Chiesa better. I want to save Stephen Wonderboy Thompson. I don't know what for, maybe for the next shot.
Well, he's arguing for a shot.
Yeah.
He gave his argument. He said, I'm the only one in the top 5 that hasn't fought Camaro already.
Yep. And I think he's got a fair point, man.
Yeah.
I do. And he's strung together a few wins. So
I think if he did one more, he needed that matchup. He needed that Colby Covington. He needed that Leon Edwards fight.
They're not going to give it to him.
And they're not going to give it to him. I mean, you can't give him a Chiesa or a Woodley or a Maya or something like that and then go, okay, a win like that's going to give you a title shot. It doesn't work out. Right. It just sucks for him, man. He's really in limbo. I mean, it's Gilbert Burns.
And Gilbert Burns is in limbo, too. I mean, if they don't match those 2 up, Gilbert Burns ain't going to fight number 7 or 8. I mean, again, number 7's Tyron Woodley, number 8's Damian Maia. He beat them both.
Yeah, and how much damage Gilbert Burns just took. Let's give him a good 6 months off.
For sure. Yeah, let's give him some time. Yeah, time to heal.
Hopefully this welterweight division shakes out a little more about that. Let's go into our betting. I did put 500 church coin on to Gilbert Burns. It did not work out. I didn't win a single bet this last week.
Yeah, well, I only won 1, and my losses were a lot bigger than yours. So.
Yep. That's what we
absolutely.
Get. That's what we
So I put 1,000 church coin on Gilbert Burns. I really did like the value at a plus, what was it, plus 220 or plus... It was something crazy. It was a
good bet.
It was a plus 220.
And it seemed like it was I don't want to say for sure, but it did seem like everything was looking good for Gilbert Burns.
Yeah, it did look like the stars were aligning, especially in that first round when he caught him. I was like, "Oh my God, he's going to put away the champ."
I was like, "It's going to be quick."
In the first round. Yep. But no,
that was crazy.
Usman's got that warrior spirit, man. Absolutely. There's something about Usman, and I don't know. I like the this is really weird with the Usman because I always just go back and forth with him. Like I really do love watching him, and he is unquestionably he's got a very strong mindset. One of the strongest, if not the strongest. He's got the Michael Jordan mentality for sure. But there's something about the way that he presents himself sometimes, and I know we've talked about this before. That seems a little off, where it's not authentic. But then, like in the post-fight interview. I felt like it was really Camaro Usman.
I think he's maturing a little bit.
Yeah, I think he's trying.
He's really coming into his own.
Yeah, because he doesn't. Here's the thing with Camaro Usman. I get that he's like, I'm never going to lose, but it never comes across as authentic because I think he's the silent killer.
Yeah,
I really do. Just a guy that's like looks back and be like, okay, well, I'll see you. I'll see you next week. I'll see you Saturday night. That's all he's got to do.
Or when Colby was talking shit to him, I broke your face.
Yeah, exactly. Like there's sometimes where Camaro Usman does, but you know, like the whole varsity thing. I'm like, bro,
Yeah.
you're more than varsity. You're more than varsity. What are you talking? Why are we doing the JV varsity comparison? You're a world champion.
Yeah,
you say you're the world champion, you know? I mean, I get his analogy, but I don't know. Sometimes it just doesn't work for me. But then that calm, cool, silent, like assassin killer, Camaro Usman, that's the Usman I like. And that's what we saw at the post-fight interview. Because I think Usman is the full package.
Yeah,
he's the he's a full package.
He's a fucking good-looking guy. He's a great talker. If he doesn't know how to talk the shit the most.
Yeah,
but he doesn't have to really talk shit.
Right.
Once he tries doing the Colby Covington shit, like you could tell he tried playing that up. It was real cringe.
Yeah.
But when he's himself, everyone loves that.
Yep.
Yeah.
If he did the more like low key talking shit like Michael Jordan did, I know I keep giving comparisons, but we very well may look back at Camaro Usman and go, oh my God, that was the Michael Jordan of UFC. Of MMA, rather.
Yeah, and unfortunately, I'm glad I remembered this because I almost didn't bring this up. Before we move on, he said he'll never do a super fight, dude. So he'll never fight Israel Adesanya 185.
Yeah, I think Izzy's too big for him.
Well, I don't know. Usman's a big 170. He's a big boy for 170.
He's shredded.
I think he could do 185, and I think as long, I don't think it's the greatest matchup against Israel ever. But he said there's so much respect. But do you have to have 2 belts nowadays to go down as a GOAT?
No.
I mean, look at Khabib. Look at that prime example right there.
I don't think
he didn't even have that many defenses.
Is it an added bonus? Yeah, but I mean, you can look at guys' career. Like, we don't consider, which, I mean, he is one of the greatest, unquestionably. What he's done in the UFC has been phenomenal. But we don't look at DC as the greatest of all time. We don't look at, well, maybe John Jones, I guess. But we don't look at some of these guys with 2 belts. Conor McGregor, he's not the GOAT. He's not the greatest of all time. So I think 2 belts is an added element. But that just means more pressure, and it means you gotta win every time you defend those belts. So who cares if Camaro Usman does the George St. Pierre route and just wins, and maybe when Camaro Usman turns 38, he's like, fuck it, I'll just go up and fight one time for the belt, and then he can be a double champ
and then retire
and walk away in the sunset, or ride away in the sunset, so.
Yep, storybook ending there. Let's move on to the co-main event of the evening. Let's do Maycee Barber and Alexa Grasso. So this was a really good fight, actually.
Yeah, this was great. You know what? This was one of the greatest cards, top to bottom. And I feel like I'm saying that every week. But these fighters just come out and they perform, man. I mean, the prelims. I was watching, because again, we were snowed in. I had nothing to do. I started watching the prelims at 5 p.m. There were some bangers, man. Some really great fights in those prelims. So, I mean, shout out to the guys on prelims and the ladies on prelims. But, so let's talk about this co-main, man. What were your thoughts?
I was just really impressed with Alexa Grasso, dude. Because not only did she look calm, cool, collected, but she was just really letting Maycee just kind of establish her own distance. But I don't want to talk shit about Maycee, but there was a part of me just wondering why. It's because she was throwing these weird head kicks and these weird hooks and feints when she was so far out of the pocket, wasn't even close to landing.
Not just hooks, not just feints. She was literally throwing full-blown combinations 3 feet away.
From a way far distance, like not even establishing any distance.
Right.
It was weird. And it was throwing me off. Like, it wasn't the Maycee Barber I was expecting to come out.
Here's the thing. We talk about it. Some people think it's a myth. Some people think it's a reality. This could very well be ring rust or octagon rust. I mean, let's talk about that. The last fight that she had against Modafferi, she blew out her ACL. This is the first time she's been in the octagon in over a year. I think that stems from a lot of it. Because, dude, I know you weren't impressed on some of these things, but Maycee Barber is a savage, bro. She was throwing.
She's a savage.
She was throwing haymakers, trying to put Alexa Grasso
and she was
away.
landing great punches. It's just there was weird moments where she was lulling from the outside, and Alexa was taking advantage of every one of those moments. I feel like Alexa was just waiting, letting Maycee try to find a way to establish a range and get inside, and then she was hitting the check hooks and the beautiful counter shots. Alexa really put a nice clinic on for Maycee for 3 straight rounds. And then every time they went to the ground, Alexa once again impressed everyone with a jiu-jitsu game that was non-existent up until now. I wouldn't want to say non-existent, but we haven't seen it. She's been primarily on the feet every fight.
Yeah, and I got to say, Alexa Grasso has got some phenomenal stand-ups, some great boxing. Yeah, she could be one of the better strikers in this women's flyweight division. Let's talk about where we take these fighters from here. So Macy Barber coming off 2 losses now at number 10. Will probably drop a little in the rankings. I think Alexa Grasso takes that number 10 spot. So where do we see what is a good matchup next for Alexa Grasso? If I had a choice, which I don't, but I wouldn't mind seeing her fight Jessica Eye.
Yeah, that's a good one. That's a great striking matchup. To be honest, I want to chest her jiu-jitsu.
Ooh.
I mean, how far up do you want to...
Another thing, too, she looked good. She took the back of Macy Barber.
That's what I'm saying, dude. That's what I'm saying. Because she's never really gone down to the ground too much, so we don't really have a whole lot to work at. And then when she's taking her back and threatening submissions the entire time, it's like, it's very impressive.
Then do you give her the obvious here? Do you give her
Roxanne,
number 4?
Oh, that's
Jennifer
really
Meyer?
testing. I mean,
Maya,
that's a top 5 matchup. Like, that's really
what I'm
testing.
saying. Yeah.
That's really testing it. But I'm saying like Viviana Araujo or like a Roxanne Modafferi. Maybe even, but like, if it just depends on what you want to see with the matchups. You want to see striking on the feet, or do you want to see some jiu-jitsu?
Yeah, I think you build her up,
jiu-jitsu.
man. I think you build. Nah, not yet. I think you build her up, man. You give her one more striker.
JoJo Calderwood, someone like that.
I think Calderwood's another good matchup. She's just coming off that win against Jessica Eye, so
yeah. There's a lot you could do. I really enjoy this flyweight division. There's a lot of really talented girls in this division.
There is, absolutely.
Yeah, let's move on to...
Well, we got to talk about our church bets.
Oh, that's right.
So I also put 1,000 church coin on Barber. I really like the value at a plus 120. Yeah. I thought Macy Barber... I'm not disappointed with her performance. She looked a little rusty, but, that's with time. This girl is 22 years old.
Yeah, we can't sleep on her. There's so much room for improvement. And
Bro,
she looked like a world beater.
She could be champ. In 3 years, she could still be champ.
Absolutely.
Like, yeah, she is, as you just said, a world beater, man. I mean, she looks really good still. So don't count out Macy Barber here. She had to get it back after that ACL tear. The future's looking bright for Macy Barber. Yeah. But I put 1,000 church coin on her, and I did lose that bet. So
that's
it is what it is.
Yeah, absolutely. I put 250 on her, lost that. Let's move on to Kelvin Gaslum and Ian Heinisch. This was a very, very entertaining fight, my guy. Dude, every time Ian Heinisch and Kelvin Gastelum were exchanging in the pockets, I was holding my breath because I was like, oh, fuck, this could end at any moment because Kelvin's bringing the heat every time. And he looked fantastic, dude. He really did. His jiu-jitsu looked good. His defense looked good. His hands looked just as good as ever. Yep. I was very impressed with Kelvin Gastelum, as we usually are. I mean, he really proved that he's still a top guy in there.
And I'm really happy for Gastelum too. Coming off 3 straight losses, all to essentially former or champions right now, or champion right now. So he's had a lot of rough fights. And let's not like kid ourselves. This guy has fought in more champions than I think anyone else in this division, which is saying something. And how old is Kelvin Gastelum? 28, 29 years old? Again, this is another one of these young guys that has got back on the right track and is still a contender in this middleweight division. I don't care what anyone says. Gastelum has got a lot of gas left. And he looked phenomenal against Ian Heinisch, too. He did scare me. When it was going to the ground, I was like, I don't know. This might end the same way that Jack Hermanson fight did. And then Heinisch grabbed his leg for a second, and I was like, uh-oh. But, Kelvin Gastelum got out of it. And I'm really happy for Gaslum. You could see the emotion in his face after he won this fight. It meant so much to him. Yeah. And I love seeing that out of fighters. There's guys who just absolutely love doing this. This is all they do, and you can just see it in their face.
Yeah, well, I don't want to say his career is over if he loses that fight, but it's not in a good spot if you lose into that
It's
fight.
on a much different trajectory.
Way different. I mean, there's one way you can go. You could either go, okay, I need a 3-fight to 4-fight winning streak, and I'm back in a title contention, or I need to put 5, 6, 7 fights in a row now.
Right. And fighting, non-ranked guys, trying to work
building yourself back up, and it's a rough fucking road in this middleweight division, dude, and especially in the toughest organization in the world in the UFC.
And, Ian Heinisch is relatively new in the UFC too, man, and this was a good fight for him too.
He got pushed up real quick.
Yeah, he did. And, he didn't look bad. He did definitely lose the fight, but there's still a lot of promise in this kid. I mean, he's relatively young in his career too. So
yeah, his wrestling's good. His striking's good. He shows skill set. And, it's just these top tier guys, man. It's just, You got to get tested sometimes. You know, sometimes your game's not there. He's only been, he started training, I think. You know, I think he was a wrestler for most of his life, but he only started training MMA when he was in prison, I think. Yeah. And I think that was like 5 or 6 years ago. Yeah, so really, it's a crazy story, guys. Go check it out. Listen to Ian Heinisch. But it's a wild story. He's only been training for not that long. So, you know, he's still got so much room to improve, even though he is in his mid-30s. Let's move on, though. I mean, or talk about bets. I put 200 on Heinisch. Did not work out for me.
So I put 440 church coin on Gaslum at a minus 220. So that gains me plus 200. That is the only fight that I won this week, folks.
All right, we'll talk about this real quick. Ricky Simone, Brian Keller. We did not pick this fight, but I didn't watch it either.
Again, shout out to Ricky Simone, local boy fighting out of Vancouver, Washington, right next door. Mm-hmm. I don't know who Ricky Simone is, but I know a guy who knows Ricky Simone, so that's pretty cool. But shout out to Ricky Simone winning that fight. Man. You know, I was so disappointed when he lost to Uriah Faber because I really thought he would beat Uriah Faber.
I know.
And he kind of
seemed
slipped
like
up
it was
a
a good matchup.
But ever since then, man, he's been on a tear, and people need to know this man's name. Ricky Simone is no joke.
And he beat Merab.
Man. He beat not just, but I was, But he beat Merab.
He's good.
But he just won 2 fights in the last, 3 or 4 weeks? Mm-hmm. I mean, hey, this guy's the real deal, dude. People got to pay attention. At 18-3, are you kidding me? And he absolutely dominated Brian Kelleher, too.
Yeah, he'll get another
all 3
top
rounds.
15 matchup.
I really hope so, because this guy deserves to be ranked. So shout out to Ricky Simone. Way to get it done again. Attaboy.
Yep. Maki Pitolo, Julian Marquez. I didn't watch this fight either, but we did put money on it. But the highlights I did watch, it seemed like Maki was whooping his ass for 3 rounds.
Yeah.
And then Marquez just gets the anaconda choke and finishes it. It needed the finish, and it was like a storybook ending.
Yeah.
And I was like, fuck, why didn't I watch this fight? I should have.
Yeah, you know, it was, it was very disappointing for Maki Pitolo. Coconut bombs here, dude. Because he looked great, man. This whole fight, I'm thinking he's got it in the bag. He's going to win. Mm-hmm. And literally, in the 3rd round, Julian Marquez just pulls off that anaconda choke.
So
it was absolutely insane. And you could just see just the disappointment in Pitolo's face because he really tried like hell to get out of it. Great choke by Julian Marquez, though. I got to talk about this, though, because it's pretty funny. We're watching post-fight interview right after the fight. Julian Marquez gets interviewed. He does this weird fucking thing where he's like, hashtag wherever you live and yada, yada, yada. And I'm like, what the hell is he doing? And then he goes, hey, Miley Cyrus, will you be my Valentine? No, he goes, Joe, you're not going to let me call someone out? And he goes, yeah, sure, whatever. And he goes, Miley Cyrus, I want you to be my Valentine. She tweeted him back.
Yeah.
Because as soon as he did that, Mary was like, there's no way she's going to say anything. I go, oh, she will, definitely. You mark my words. What's her face? Demi Moore dates fighters. What's to say Miley Cyrus ain't gonna, say. Sure enough, she tweeted back, shave an MC in your chest, and I'll be your Valentine.
Yeah, I saw that.
That was awesome.
Yeah, it's so funny.
That was great.
It's a great call out. It's a classic.
Hey, but dude, this sport is getting big enough now where everyday celebrities tune in.
Oh yeah, dude. I mean, think about it. Nobody watches boxing. Do you know any Americans? Obviously we're Americans, guys. Right. We're coming from an American.
And I do watch.
Do you know anybody that watches boxing?
I do watch the occasional boxing match, but that is definitely the occasional. 2 to 3 cards a year. That's about it.
I know more people that watch MMA.
Oh, for sure.
Every fight week. Than
I think it's more readily available, and there aren't a bunch of organizations. There's not the whatever belt and this belt and that belt.
Well, there are, but it's like the NFL. Like the UFC is now the NFL of MMA, I feel like.
Right. I mean, there's other organizations, but boxing kind of gets
it's like UFC
convoluted because you don't know which organization is the best.
Yeah.
With the UFC, you know what organization is the best. That's kind of the thing.
Yeah, we're way off topic. It is unfortunate for Maki Pitolo, but congratulations to Julian Marquez. Hopefully he's dating Miley Cyrus here soon. That'd be one hell of a story.
That would be a great story.
A great story. I don't think it ends well.
No.
But you know what? It'd be a fantastic one.
Why not?
To tell your kids.
I
picked 100 church coin on Pitolo.
Yeah, I put 155, lost that as well. So.
All right. It's MMA news time, Mason. All right. So this is really unfortunate because this has happened, 3 or 4 times now? And I feel like it's going to happen every other time you make this fight. Hamzachimayev is out of the Leon Edwards fight. I don't even remember what the date was, but it doesn't matter.
March 13th, I believe.
And he's out because of COVID again.
Yeah.
So this is the 3rd time this I think it was a third or fourth time
And
this fight.
what a string
It's
of
crazy.
bad luck, not for just Hamzachimayev, but more importantly, Leon Edwards.
He hasn't
had a fight in over
like
a year.
17 months or 18 months, dude.
Been a long time, man.
And a lot of that is, I've said a lot about Leon Edwards on this podcast. Like, go back and watch those videos. I've said a lot about
And I had always disagreed with him.
Well,
on the record.
Okay. But you know what? A lot of that's his fault. He had fights. He could have fought Camaro Usman for the fucking world title already, and he turned it down. But right now, this is not his fault.
On short notice.
So did Jorge.
Yeah, but Jorge had that built-in excuse. Do you think Leon Edwards get that same built-in excuse?
Yes,
No.
if it's on short notice, there's a
Jorge
built-in
Masvidal is
excuse.
a star.
I don't like
That's
the
why he's
built-in
getting the
excuse
immediate rematch. Why isn't Camaro Usman calling out Leon Edwards? Because he ain't a star. Jorge had that built in.
Yeah, true. But I don't think the star matters. If I'm talking from a pure standpoint, like, who is the best guy out there? And that was Leon Edwards, and he had the chance for the belt, and he didn't take it. It does suck. He was stuck in the UK. He probably didn't even have a camp going. But that's every guy. Every guy was going through these same problems. There were still fights coming out. But this is not, like, I'm going to get off of Leon because this doesn't have anything to do with him. This is Hamzachimayev. He is out because of COVID again. More lung problems. I hope it's not blood clots, because that would be bad. That is something I was thinking when I first heard this was, I wonder if he has blood clots in his lung, because this is not the first time we've heard this with these fighters. There are other fighters that Ali has had that has had blood clots in his lungs and has ruined their careers, ended their careers. So let's hope that's not the case with Hamzachimayev. But there was this New York Post article that got dropped today. And it's UFC's Hamzachimayev thought he was going to die from COVID-19 complications. And we have to remember, Hamzachimayev's 26 years old. Yeah. He's a spring chicken.
He is.
And he's got fantastic cardio. So this is just wild that something like this is happening. And I think it's probably bad genetics, man, unfortunately. Well, everyone's got, something
going on.
Yeah.
Also, too, you have to look at the healthcare system over in wherever the hell he lives, Dagestan or whatever.
Yeah, no, I think it's Sweden.
Well, wherever it is, it's probably not very good. Dana White even came out and said that, hey, we're going to get him over to the U.S. We're going to get someone looking at him, and we're going to take care of him and get him back on the right track. So Dana White's willing to work with the kid and at least get him the medical help that he needs. Because, obviously, we're not probably the best in the world, but we're pretty damn good, over here in the States. So we got to get him the medical help that he needs to recover, to get in some sort of therapy and get through on this, man. I really hope he's going to be okay.
It seems like it's just breathing, like from what I'm seeing in this article, he's not like coughing up blood or anything, but I mean, he's training and he'd get done with one round and he'd have to quit.
Yeah.
He'd have to be like, I got to stop. I got to take a break. I can't do it. And then he'd just be coughing and then they'd be like, okay, let's get him to the hospital. That might be a bit of a, like, do you really need to go to the hospital if you're having breathing problems?
Yeah, but we don't.
Maybe, but we don't know. You just don't know because it's your lungs. You don't want to take that fucking risk. Who knows? I mean, most people that get COVID probably don't need to go to the hospital unless you have underlying conditions. But if it's sticking around this long for this man, it's not good.
Yeah, you need a specialist, a lung specialist, or someone to look at this.
Because this is something that's different. Like, this is not your average case of COVID. Most people, especially his age, would get over it by now. This is different. So hopefully, we only want the best for the man. Hopefully, he could fully recover and we could finally get a fight. But unfortunately, this man wanted to smash people every weekend, and now he can't. And unfortunately, COVID smashed him, and it just fucking sucks. Let's bring him back. We got to bring him back somehow. I want every scientist and every engineer, like the people that made RoboCop, let's get them in Vegas ASAP, and I want Edwards and Chimaev to fight. I mean, what do we do with Leon Edwards now? Yes.
No, it's easy. He can fight. I mean, let's talk about the Leon call outs, I should say specifically. He called out pretty much the whole division. I mean, the whole top 5 of this division. Called out Nate, called out Colby, called out Masvidal. He'll take anyone at this point. I think the one that makes the most sense as far as a business perspective, now that we know Jorge Masvidal is essentially going to get the rematch against Camaro Usman, you got to go with Colby Covington. And that's the number 1 contender for the next guy to the belt. That's the only thing. I don't like the Nate fight. Don't think it works. I'd love to see Leon Edwards versus Jorge Masvidal since Jorge Masvidal gave him a 3-piece and a soda a couple years ago in London. That'd be cool to see, but of course we're not going to get that.
If Masvidal ain't fighting Colby, he's not fighting Leon. Like, unfortunately, everyone's like, who?
Yeah.
Everyone's like, Leon calls him out. He's like, who?
Right. You got to go Leon versus
the ultimate
Colby.
disrespect.
I think that's the only way to go here.
It's the ultimate disrespect.
And that is rumored to be in the works. So
yeah, I mean, win.
Nate Wonderboy might be a good fight.
They ain't making that fight.
No, I know that.
Nate's fighting Conor McGregor or Masvidal.
Well, Masvidal's got to fight, and Conor McGregor's got to fight. They're definitely going to do that trilogy with Dustin. So Nate ain't fighting.
Nate's not fighting. I don't know who the fuck he's going to fight.
He might fight Wonderboy. He might.
I don't think so. I don't think so. I like Wonderboy, Gilbert Burns. Let's do that in 6 months because Wonderboy is definitely okay with sitting out. Yeah, Leon versus Colby. That's it.
Yep.
I mean, just win.
That's it.
It's got to be ASAP, right?
Yeah.
I mean, Leon hasn't fought in 17 months. Colby hasn't fought in probably 6.
Yeah.
Let's make that fight. Let's make it happen ASAP. Let's move on to some other things. Dana has come out and said that Conor Dustin is essentially done. It's not done, but it's going to be the fight they make.
And it won't be for the belt?
I don't know. I don't like it. I mean, I like that it's not for the belt, but I mean, Dustin Poirier's next fight has to be for the belt. Why hold up this division unless we think Khabib's going to fight again? But he's not.
If Khabib, there's so much.
What's the point? It's like it puts the whole lightweight division back into limbo.
I know. First it was Conor doing it for a couple years. Now it's
Khabib.
Yeah. To no fault of Khabib in a lot of ways. I mean, when the man said he retired, but again, he's a nice man. He's taking those dinner meetings with Dana. But dude, it's so frustrating because it's like, what if Khabib does defend his lightweight belt? GSP said already in the Michael Bisping interview that he would not drop to 155. So, dude, if you're gonna do that super fight, say, we don't need a belt. It's for the GOAT versus GOAT. Let's just do GSP Khabib, excuse me, at 165. And then, dude, it's not my favorite. It's not my favorite that Conor McGregor might get the title shot after losing to Dustin. But if they want to do it, then let's just do it. Let's get the champ in. I don't care who it is, because this lightweight division is so incredibly stacked that we got to see these guys fight for the belt. We have to.
Yeah.
I mean, you as you said, we're stalling this division, and there's so much to gain here. There's so much to gain, and we got to figure out this whole Khabib situation soon. If this Dustin Conor trilogy isn't for a title, then what's the point of doing the immediate rematch? What's the point of doing?
There is no point. That's the problem. It should be Dustin Charles Oliveira. It needs to be that fight for the belt.
Yes.
Then you do Michael Chandler, Justin Gaethje, and you Conor versus fucking Nate Diaz. Who gives a shit?
Right.
Conor could fuck off. He's not in the title implication.
He just lost.
Yeah.
And he's won one MMA fight in, 4 years?
He's 1-2 in the lightweight division.
Yeah.
Fuck off. Win some fights, and then you deserve it.
Yep.
But it's not the way this works. It's so unfortunate. Why? I mean, there's a good chance they could. Dana could be just bullshitting. There's a really good chance Conor and Dustin 3 is for the belt. I think so. I think there's a really good chance. I mean, supposedly they're having another meeting with Khabib. Another one. The meeting, maybe just going to go in there.
They've been doing it every month now.
Yeah, Dana's going to be like,
I don't give a fuck.
And then Khabib's going to be like,
this is #1 bullshit.
Yeah, and that's how the conversation's going to go.
Pretty much.
And it's going to end with nothing, and then we're not going to have a fight still. Dana's going to come back out and about like, Khabib said he's got to see. Let's see what happens. You know, got to excite me. And then we're just going to get jerked off for another 6 months.
Right.
That's what I see happening. I don't want to see that happen. I mean, Conor McGregor is out for 6 months, I think. That was his...
he was suspended for 6 months.
His medical suspension.
Yeah. So we'll get that fight in the summer when we do get it. I don't know.
Do you see them doing like Justin Gaethje, Michael Chandler for the belt?
No.
Just to keep it going?
No.
If Khabib goes, I'm retired, Dana, I'm done.
Then it's Dustin Poirier versus Charles Oliveira. That's the only matchup.
Yeah, but if Dustin goes, I want Conor, and I don't care if it's for the belt or not, I want Conor because it's the most money I can make. Then you just go, all right, Dustin, you're not fighting for the belt. Then you just move on.
Yep.
You go Charles Oliveira or Justin Gaethje? Or Justin Gaethje, Charles Chandler?
But you look at it from a business perspective. If Dustin says belt or not, I want to fight Conor, what's going to add more revenue to that pay-per-view? A
You
belt.
add a belt.
And Dana's going to add that belt. So I think Dustin knows what he's doing here.
Yeah.
Because he knows that Charles Oliveira fight is not going to sell the right way. They're never going to give him a title shot. So he goes, he kind of put the ball in Dana's hand and says, I want that immediate rematch. I don't care if it's for a belt or not. Because either way, you're right. Either way, Dustin Poirier is going to make a lot of money.
Yeah.
And if it's for the belt,
More
then
money.
he's going to be a champ and win a trilogy. It's a win-win for Dustin, whether or not it's for a belt or not. And he did. He put the ball in Dana's court. I think it's a brilliant business move.
Yeah. Yeah. Dustin's a fucking G. So
He is.
it always comes down to.
Shout out to Dustin Poirier. I love
Shout
the
out.
guy.
Shout out. Moving on to some other news. Zhang Wei Li and Rose Namajunas is going to be in Asia. And it's not confirmed. They don't have a location, but it will be the first fight back in Asia since all this COVID nonsense, which is funny because we don't have fights in other states. We got fights in Vegas, but we're about to have fights in China.
Yeah, you can put Jinan on that card, Jingling on that, Jingliang
Right.
on that card.
And-
There are so many great Chinese fighters, Asian fighters out there.
Oh, dude, it's
that
going to be a
it would so
fantastic card,
stacked.
and it's going to be a pay-per-view probably. So it's going to be a main event, I think. Great. Rose Namajunas versus Jessica Andrade was a main event of a pay-per-view, and
Yes,
that
it
was
was.
the best fight of that night.
Yep.
So I think it's a fantastic idea. Dana knows this strawweight division is very exciting. He knows that these girls are putting on some of the best fights in MMA, period.
Unquestionable.
He knows, so he's pushing it. Hopefully this happens. I mean, where do you do it in China? Do you do it in Wuhan? Wuhan's back open, baby.
It is.
They're open. They're partying in the
virus-free.
streets. They're making out with each other. No masks on. They don't give a shit.
No, they do not.
I say do it in Wuhan, dude. Right there. You build the arena out of bats.
Do you title it UFC 261 or whatever?
Yeah, I think so.
Kung Flu.
Trump's there.
Oh gosh, that's such
funny.
a dumb joke. Okay, so let's talk about this. But yeah, whatever. Wherever in Asia, I don't care if it's in. Honestly, preferably, I would prefer not to do it in China whatsoever.
Right.
But that's not going to happen because
Right.
Disney loves China.
Well, you never know. They could do it in Singapore. I mean, they've been all around Asia.
Yeah.
It's just it's weird. He just said Asia, just Asia. Okay, well
probably
that doesn't
'cause-
narrow it down, my guy.
probably because he probably doesn't want to do it in China. He probably wants to do it somewhere in Asia, but not China.
Yeah, but it's if he's
I know
thinking,
there's a ton of money in China, but I
yeah.
don't want him to
And they
become
already
the
broke
NBA.
into China. They already broke into China. They've done several fight nights in China now.
As long as he doesn't become the NBA, where it's like, you bring a free Hong Kong shirt or a sign and they rip it away from you until you can't bring that.
And they kick you out.
We're talking about freedom for people, and you get kicked out of arenas. Don't get me going on the NBA and like the whole China thing. Or Marxist Cuban. Don't get me going on any of that.
Marxist Cuban.
Yeah, there you
I
go.
didn't get it at first. I was like, who?
Yeah.
That's funny. All right, so let's move on to some other news. GSP is apparently in training. This was news several weeks ago. We never really brought it up. I didn't really even think it was worth talking about, but some other podcasts did, and we're a little bit hurting this week on MMA news, so we'll skim over it real quick. But supposedly Kenny Florian has come out and said that someone he knows that is close within this Firas Zahabi 5-star training camp is saying that GSP is back and he is full blown in a training camp as we speak. And this was 2 weeks ago. And Dana's meeting Habib soon.
Right.
Could this Habib GSP fight actually be in the works?
My honest take, yeah, I do. But I think this is going to be a different kind of fight. It's not going to be for a belt. You know what? The dream.
It's not
would
going to be a
Can I just tell you-
165.
Can I tell you what my fucking dream would be? Dana White finally opens his eyes, realizes we need a 165-pound division. It is for the inaugural belt
wish.
at 165, and he pushes every other weight class up 5 pounds, and we then finally have a 155, 165,
happen.
175. Are you fucking kidding me,
Right.
or what? I would be ecstatic.
I'd be so happy.
I would be ecstatic about that. And what better way to introduce a brand new belt in a brand new division in the greatest organization in the world than to have two GOATs go at it for that belt?
And then you do
my
Connor
God.
Dustin 3 for the 165 once whoever wins that fight vacates.
What?
Doesn't that seem obvious? You do Habib GSP, and then whoever wins that fight, they're going to vacate right away. They're both going to retire.
Yeah.
And then you do Connor Dustin 3 for that belt. You do 155. You do fucking Max Holloway versus Michael Chandler or whoever wants to fight for that belt. Who gives a shit?
Yeah, I think you keep Conor and
That's not
Dustin
happening.
at 155.
That's not happening. If this fight is in the works, it's happening at 170. That's what I
But
think.
they can't just fucking strip Usman.
No, it's not going to be for a belt.
Yeah, it won't be
Usman's
for a belt.
going to be
It'll
sitting in the corner crying himself to sleep because he didn't get the GSP
Well,
fight.
because he is a little scary. I don't think GSP wants to touch that. Habib's a smaller guy, at least. Habib's a smaller guy.
Yeah, but Habib,
fought at
no,
155.
I don't know. I think GSP and Habib might be the same size
Okay,
because
look.
if 165 was around, I think GSP would be a 165.
But you're wrong because Habib walks around at about 180. GSP has
Probably
literally
180, 185, something like that.
Right. It depends his diet.
Well, he had to
depends on the
gain
diet and
weight to
everything.
make 185.
Right.
Remember.
Yeah, he did, but I mean, over a period of time, we don't know where GSP sits now. He's looking a little slim. I would say probably they might be about the same size. GSP's got.
I think they're about
on
the
him,
same
though,
size, dude.
man.
Habib's a fucking beast. He cuts a ridiculous amount of weight.
Oh, right.
Ridiculous.
And if it's Habib versus GSP, my money's on Habib.
Oh, for sure.
mean,
Especially at
as it sits
170,
right
and he
now.
doesn't have to cut that much weight.
I would have
Doesn't
to.
dehydrate.
I would have to see some shit from GSP to really change my mind on that.
Yeah.
But who knows?
Who knows?
Who knows?
Who knows? Yeah, this is a no Bisbing matchup, unfortunately.
No, it's not.
Yeah. I think it's time, Mason. Let's just move on to
We're not gonna.
our preview show.
Okay.
Yeah, do you want to talk about that? We can.
I mean, well, yeah. I mean, well, we can make a statement on it. Okay, so let's just talk about the Gina Carano situation here, the Ariel Helwani, and then making his statement, and then Dana White kind of calling him a douche and saying making it about him. Now, look, okay, I'll sit here. I'll be honest. I'm not going to sit here and defend Gina Carano and what she said, okay? I don't care who it is in any situation. It's never a good idea to compare anything to what happened to 6 million Jews. It's in what happened in Nazi Germany. It's not okay, right? But we have to look at this, and we also have to understand the extreme double standard of these companies. I'm not defending Gina Carano. But I'm also completely 110% cancel culture, and I'm against this nonsense double standard that we have. Okay, Pedro Pascal in 2018, who is the Mandalorian, who works for the same company on the same TV show, tweeted a picture about Nazi Germany and compared it to 2018 with children in cages and compared it. And there are so many examples that happen where people compare Nazi Germany. I mean, how often have people compared anyone who wears a red hat that says "Make America Great Again" to a Nazi? I mean, let's be realistic.
Everyone.
And I'm not just talking about your average Joe. I'm talking about celebrities who have tweeted that out. Okay, as we had brought up off air, MSNBC literally suggested that we drone strike American citizens. Why the fuck is her job not gone? So again, I don't want to get too political here, but look, if we're going to set to a standard, then follow that standard all the way through. I completely disagree with it. I am a First Amendment freedom of speech. I don't think people should get canceled. I think it is horrible for our society because I think the best way to diffuse like these bad ideas is to talk about them. I had so many I had bad ideas when I was or bad ideological beliefs when I was like 16, 17 years old. And when I mean bad, I mean like, this or that. Like I have evolved so much in my thinking, where I have looked at the right and the left, the Republicans and Democrats. I've looked and I'm completely anti-establishment now. I hate both parties and I hate them both equally. I just wish that like we didn't do this kind of stuff. I wish we didn't cancel people all the time. And I thought what Ariel said was completely fine because he is speaking from a perspective of a Jewish person. And he did feel like, that it was, there was a line that crossed and he said, I wish people wouldn't compare it. But he also does disagree with cancel culture. I thought what Ariel said overall was completely appropriate and he has a right to say it. Like he's Jewish. Like that cuts a little deeper than other things. But I don't think it was the best thing for Dana to call him a douche, but I know that there's bad blood there between those two and it's been brewing and stemming for years. So at the same time, like there's some animosity behind that statement. But I guess ESPN came out and made a statement saying that Ariel Helwani is a very well-respected MMA journalist and that we stand by him. So, I mean, in a nutshell, what are your thoughts?
I mean, you pretty much echoed everything I really think. The only thing I would add is, I kind of agree with Dana. I don't really like the virtual signaling stuff, man. I just don't. I just don't. I don't like the virtue signaling stuff. I didn't think ESPN needed to come out and be like, we 100% support all Jewish people and Ariel Helwani specifically. Like, I don't care. I just don't care. It's just not for me. I just don't care. I don't like the virtue signaling.
irony of a company firing someone for comparing Nazi Germany when literally people who are in concentration camps or security worked on
China
Mulan,
right now.
and you literally thanked them in the credits. So I mean, it's a little hypocritical, don't you think? But hey, again,
and it's why I just don't care anymore, man. It's so stupid. Like it's like you say one thing but do another.
It's just a constant double standard and gaslighting. But you know, Gina Carano signed a movie deal with the Daily Wire. I guess they're kind of into the culture war finally. Because well, I mean, dude, the fucking
finally.
Well, I mean, dude, they're
the biggest cucks on the internet. I'm sorry, they really are.
Yeah. But hey, they're making movies,
Wire.
I guess. Okay. And Gina Carano signed a movie deal with her. And the only reason why we're talking about Gina Carano and this whole situation is, guys, she was a former MMA fighter.
She was
from 2006 to 2009,
original GOAT,
right?
The original GOAT.
Yeah, dude, yeah.
Dude, I would
she only
have
lost one fight on her professional career.
And a legit poster girl. A fucking beautiful young woman that young men would go, holy shit, she fights? And they'd fucking watch every one, and then she'd beat some dude's ass.
Yeah.
Not some dude. But
I get what you're saying. Right.
she could be some dude, but
she probably
but she just beat
could.
some other chicks. Yeah, it's unfortunate to really
yeah, it is. And you know, just to reiterate this,
love.
like I'm completely in disagreement, because like when you cancel someone, like these people want to ruin someone's career. They want to ruin your life. They want you to kill yourself. That's like what it is. Like they want to destroy everything that you have. Like people have to be able to talk things out and to apologize, to make amends, like to just one and done people and to say, no, you're never allowed to work ever again. You're never allowed to do anything ever again because you had wrong think. Like, we got to show a little grace and love. Like, I feel like this, like, there's no love. There's no understanding. Like, if Gina,
she could be she could be a positive story out of all this negativity because she is going to keep.
And again, I'm not defending her statements.
Her
Those statements should not have been made. You don't want to ever compare anything to Nazi Germany. You shouldn't. But, you know, it happened, and
it is what it is.
Absolutely. Now, let's move on to our preview show, Mason. So, Curtis Blaydes and Derrick Lewis. It's actually a pretty good main event. Is it the greatest fight night card ever? No, they might have blown their wad a little bit too early.
Well,
but it's okay.
And they're previewing UFC 259 and 260, which are set to be bangers. So,
true.
Three title fights on one card, brother.
And my wallet's feeling it.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
It's really feeling it.
But hey, I don't mind spending a little money on the UFC.
Absolutely not. You got to support what you love, and I love MMA and the UFC more specifically. So let's talk about this main event. Curtis Blaydes, Derrick Lewis. I mean, so I said it earlier. I hate to say this, but this could be a potential number one contender fight. I mean, yes, John Jones. We all know. Stipe, Francis are going to fight, 3-4 weeks? Very soon.
Yep.
Very soon. It's coming up sooner than we think. That fight's going to happen. Francis versus John Jones or Stipe versus John Jones, that's next. But this fight right here might set us up for the first number one contender after all those matchups play out.
Which could be a while.
Could be a while.
If we know anything about the heavyweight division.
Well, this is just like the lightweight division, dude. I mean, they talk about log jammed and fucked up at the top.
Yeah.
DC threw the biggest wrench ever into this division when he knocked out Stipe in the first round because that kept this whole division in limbo for 3 years. And we're finally out of it. We're finally
out of it now.
Now we're finally going to get a Francis Nanganu versus Stipe rematch. That's going to play out. Can't wait for that.
Can't wait for that.
Yeah. And then John Jones versus the winner, right?
Yep. John Jones versus the winner. It has to be. John's got to get the immediate shot. But this is a good number one contender fight, all things considering. And you know Curtis Blaydes is rooting for Stipe Miocic to beat. Or if not that, then he's rooting like hell for John Jones to beat Francis Ngannou, because we know Curtis Blaydes has obviously had 2 losses to Ngannou, and he's
But only two losses.
Not going to get that. I know he's
only two losses his whole career is
sad.
to the guy who could be champion forever.
Forever. And they're never going to give him another shot at the crack at the belt if Nanganu has it. They will literally give Walt Harris, number 11, or they'll even give Junior Dos Santos at 12 another shot outside of
Blaydes just stuck
Curtis
at number
Blaydes.
1 forever. He's like, oh, fuck, man.
Poor bastard. So he is rooting heavily against Francis Ngannou.
Yeah, or Derrick Lewis. He's rooting for Derrick Lewis.
Yeah, that's... Well,
No, I'm just
no. Yeah, I was going to say, well, that might be
Derrick,
a
please knock
conflict
me
of
out so I
interest.
have to work my way back up. Yeah, it doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, but overall, it's a good main event here.
And it's a pretty good matchup because I mean, is Derrick Lewis' defense good enough? His defensive wrestling?
Absolutely not. Curtis
He's going to
Blaydes
get
is going
taken
to
down.
smash him.
Right? Oh,
He's going to smash him all 5 rounds.
All 5
I don't
rounds?
I don't even think it'll last 5 rounds. I think the second round, Derrick Lewis will get gassed and he's going to lose.
Dude, I think Derrick's balls are going to be too hot, and Curtis is going to have to get up eventually. He's like, this top pressure, I can't do it. His balls are just too hot. It's like 2 nukes happening down there.
Right.
Yeah. No, that's not happening, guys. That's not happening, guys. I agree, dude. I think Curtis Blaydes takes him down and smashes him for probably 5 rounds. It's going to be a very boring fight, probably.
Yeah, it's not going to be the most
very
entertaining because Derrick Lewis ain't getting back up.
No.
As soon as he's down, just count whatever's left, 4:30 or 4
Until the
3
round
minutes,
ends.
Till that bell is rang.
There's going to be 5 takedowns the whole fight.
Yep.
1 in each round.
No, it's true. It's so true,
That's
man.
the way I feel like it's going to go down.
Well, in Vegas looks at this fight and they say the exact same thing. We are looking right now at Curtis Blaydes as a minus 400 favorite, and a Derrick Lewis sits at a plus 325 underdog. That's wild.
Ooh,
man. That's
a plus
wild.
325?
Plus 325. Yes, sir. So
Fuck it, dude. I'm changing my pick. That's why not. I'm going 100 church coin on Derrick Lewis. Why not? That plus 325, that's a no-brainer. Dude, Derrick Lewis could get fucked up for 4.5 rounds straight and then somehow levitate to his feet somehow. I don't know. Balls project him up somehow using the heat. And then he throws a wild right hand and KOs him. It could happen.
It could happen.
It could happen. Volkov pieced him up for 3 straight rounds, and then he still landed the knockout punch with, 10 seconds left?
Yep.
So it would not be the first time. I mean, I don't care. It's only 100 church coin. I know Lewis is probably going to lose, but plus 325? That's
Can't pass
a great
that up.
odds. I really can't.
Mine was going to be the sleeper pick of the week. I am going Derrick Lewis as well. I like the plus 325 underdog. I like those odds a lot better than laying any sort of money down on Curtis Blaydes, just at a significant favorite. Not a lot of value there. I'm laying 200 church coin on Lewis at a plus 325.
I was going to put like 400 on Blaydes, but now it's like, fuck, why? Who cares? Who cares? I don't. All right, move on. Catelyn Vera versus Yana Kutsunitskaya. This is a rough matchup for Yana Kutsunitskaya. I really like Yana. She's one of my favorites in this 125-pound. No, this is 135. That's right, 135-pound division. She's a very tough girl, very tough Russian girl. But unfortunately, she's going up against Catelyn Vera, who has just looked phenomenal in her last fight.
Yeah.
Because she looked like a wild woman in the fight before, got KO'd pretty viciously, might I add, and then came back and just looked as technical and as crisp and as clean as we've ever seen. And if that Catelyn Vera shows up, it's going to be a rough matchup with Yana. She could get flatlined. I don't want that to happen. I think this is probably going to be a 3-round piece and up. I'm going Catelyn Vera. I just see her being the better fighter on the feet overall. It's not going down to the ground. And if it did, I would still take Catelyn Vera with her Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. I'm going 250 church coin on Catelyn Vera.
Alrighty. I have the exact same take. I'll make this short and sweet. I put 265 church coin on Catelyn Vieira at a minus 265 favorite. But in 11-1, you can't really argue with that, can you?
You really can't. Next matchup, Charles Rosa, Derek Minor. I don't know this Derek Minor guy.
Nor do I.
I mean, he's moving up.
I know Charles Rosa.
Yeah, Charles Rosa, I know. Charles Rosa. And supposedly they're both jiu-jitsu guys. Derek Minor, I think he came from Contender Series, something like that. He hasn't had too many fights in the UFC. I just haven't seen enough of him to really put my money behind the man, so I am going Charles Rosa. The jiu-jitsu with Charles Rosa is super clean, super crisp. He did get completely outclassed by Bryce Mitchell not too long ago, but he did have a nice comeback win. And this Derek Minor guy's lost a couple submissions, so I'm going Charles Rosa. I wouldn't be surprised if he submitted him. I'm going to put 250 church coin on him.
Okay. Yeah, I like Rosa here as well. Where the hell? Oh, Rose. That's why it says Rose. Spell autocorrect. I'm putting 190 church coin. Charles Rosa is coming in at a minus 190 favorite. I like the value on that. So I'm putting 190 on Rosa.
Alrighty. Alexei Oleinik, Charles.
Chris.
Fuck
Chris
did I get
Daukaus,
Charles out of
baby.
that? Chris Daukaus.
This will be a fun fight.
I don't know this Chris Daukaus guy, but he's on like a 3-fight first-round KO streak.
Yes, he is.
So he's going to go in there. He's going to be a wild man in that is 100 and fucking 265. I have no idea what body shape he is. He could be a giant fluffy man. I hope he is. Nothing would make me happier as a fluffy individual myself than to see a giant fat guy go in there and just fucking KO everybody.
Yeah.
Nothing would make me happier. So I hope that's what this is. I hope this Chris Daukaus guy is just this big, giant, flat, fluffy guy that goes in there, flatlines everybody. But unfortunately, he's going up against the boa constrictor. And if we know anything about the boa constrictor, it's that he's very good on the ground. And he's got almost 60 wins in MMA.
That's just insane.
Just insane. 59, 14, and 1 is a fucking crazy record. Crazy. So I'm going with Alexei Oleinik. If it goes down to the ground, he's done. He's done, my guy. He's done. So Alexei Oleinik, 100 church coin. I'm only putting 100 on him because I would not be shocked if Chris Daukaus gets the KO.
Yeah, Alexei Oleinik, you can't count the guy out. He does still get wins. But man, he's 43 years old. I think there comes a time in every fighter's fight, as you just said, he's 59, 14, and 1. He has had over 70 professional MMA fights in his career. I just think at some point, you got to hang up the gloves. But hey, whatever. He wants to do it. He wants to fight. It's his life, his choice. I like Chris Daukaus here, coming off 3 first-round KOs. Jeez, I'm getting tongue-tied here. I put... Let's see, I put 170 church coin at a minus 170. Daukaus coming in as the favorite over the plus 150 Alexei Oleinik. I put 170 on Chris Daukaus.
All right, to open up the main card, first fight of the night, Philip Haas, Nasruddin Imavov. I'm calling him Nas.
Okay.
Philip Haas versus Nas, okay? So this Nas guy, I've never heard of in my entire life. Never, ever heard of him. I think he had one fight in the UFC, and he won it. And same with Haas. Haas had one fight in the UFC, and he won it in an 18-second knockout.
Okay.
So, if we're only working off of that, I'm going Philip Haas. They got the exact same record.
They do.
One guy's French, one guy's American. I'm rolling with the American.
You got to go with the American.
Got to be a patriotic guy.
Absolutely.
100 church coin on Philip Haas.
Philip Haas. Wow, what a call, Tabor. What you are really putting your money where your mouth is, laying a whole 100 church coin on Philip Haas.
It's a risky bet.
It is a risky bet. I also like Philip Haas here. I put 250 church coin on Philip Haas for the win at a slight favorite, minus 125. We'll see what happens, folks. We'll see what happens.
I will never, put this on the record, guys, on this podcast. It's etched in stone. I will never put my fucking money behind a Frenchman.
Wow, that is okay. So before we move on to our shout outs, I do want to talk about some of these prelims, man. I cannot believe some of these fighters are on the prelim over the main card and what we saw. Andrei Arlovski, I know, coming to the tail end of his career, fighting Tom Aspinall. That's going to be a fun fight.
That's a great. You want to pick that fight?
Matchup. Yeah, let's pick it.
Let's pick it real quick. I'm going Andrei Arlovski. I think he's just going to be so much. But Tom Aspinall is a guy that they talk about his wrestling a lot and how elite and fantastic his jiu-jitsu is. But the guy comes out and strikes. And if you come out and strike against Andrei Arlovski, it's going to be a difficult night. Everyone thinks they're going to put away Arlovski. He hasn't been put away in a while now.
No, it's been a while.
It's been a little while. So, people have put him away in the past. It's just it hasn't happened recently. So, it's a very, very tough outing for Tom Aspinall. I would not be shocked. What are the odds? Do you have the odds on that?
Andrei Arlovski is a plus 205 underdog, while Tom Aspinall is a minus 245 favorite.
Ooh, really?
Yes, sir.
Damn, that changes everything. I think I'm going to have to go, 245?
Yep, 245.
245 on Tom Aspinall. I'm getting that $100. I'm going for it. Why not? It's a rough matchup, dude, because...
That's funny. That's exactly what I'm putting. Yeah. It's the same.
We got the same. You pretty much see the same thing I do.
I do.
If it goes down to the ground, Aspinall can do it. But if it stays on the feet, he can still do it as well. It's a way harder path to success, in my opinion.
And two more fights I got to talk about real quick on this prelim. Drakkar Klose versus Violent Bob Ross.
Yeah.
Right here. You see this. Hold on. You see this right here on the YouTube channel. I got a Bob Ross.
Shout out. Luis
whatever
Pena.
these things are called for Luis Pena.
So
We
crazy
love
they
Violent
make
Bob
the
Ross.
UFC Luis Pena pop, but it's only like he hasn't been in the UFC that long. It's just
I know,
crazy
it's weird.
they make it.
Yeah, it's weird. But I do love this fight. This is going to be a great fight. And then to wrap...
Dude, they got like fucking 90 fights on the prelims.
Oh, yeah, dude. The prelims start at 1:30 p.m. on Saturday. The main... Oh, fuck. I hate when this thing does
Dude, there's
this.
so many fights. There must be like, okay, guys, we're overloading this because half the fights are going to fall out anyways.
Yeah.
We're staying on trend.
They are. But this fight card starts at 5 p.m. too, so an early fight if you're on the Pacific Northwest. And the last fight I want to talk about, Eddie Wineland coming off that loss, Sugar Sean O'Malley. He is fighting John Castaneda. So, that may be a fun one to watch.
Shout out Eddie.
Yeah, shout out to Eddie Wineland.
Shout outs.
All right. Any shout outs, Tabor? Who you got?
Yes, my shout out is to a YouTube commenter. I should have pulled it up. Essentially, the guy said that he picked Usman. I don't have his name. He picked Usman. He knew Usman was going to have the better takedown defense, and he called it that Usman was going to have better striking too. So shout out to that guy. I will shout you out on Twitter or something because I don't have you pulled up, but hopefully Mason's is long enough I could pull you up in the meantime.
Yeah, shout outs every week are a lot of fun because I'm always super prepared for a shout out. More prepared than most people, I got to be honest. My time on this podcast.
Oh, here we go. Let me read this.
Yeah,
so you got
ahead.
a little bit of time.
Absolutely.
Yeah, Nicholas Thompson. And it says here, new subscriber. Thank you, my guy. Thank you for subscribing to the channel. Shout us all out to all your friends, okay? Share our content. Sharing is caring, my guy. So Usman had good takedown defense, 100%. If I'm correct, he is often the wrestler, so that if that is taken into court... Wait, no, so that should be taken into court. But Maya and Colby had chances. Though I think Burns had better offensive wrestling than Maya, Colby is better and could do it. Burns need to rock Usman with an overhand or something, which did happen. He called that, and then throw up a quick sub. Man, if he was only listening. If he only listened to fucking Nick, he might have been champion.
My shout out this week is, it's actually a random one. It's kind of a different one, but every single time, guys, we do not take into account how important power and electricity is. My shout out is to all the linemen out there working overtime right now, trying to get everyone power, at least in the Pacific Northwest. There are well over 100,000 people right now out of power for the last couple of days. And those guys work overtime. They work hard, and it is a very dangerous and thankless job. So shout out to all the linemen out there. Keep doing what you guys are doing. We appreciate you. And thank God that you guys got this wonderful, magnificent power here. So shout out to the linemen.
Absolutely. Another one, Mason. We did it. Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, Gab, at the Church of MMA. Guys, if you aren't following us, make sure you go and do it. We're trying to post funny memes. We're trying to laugh.
Check out our YouTube channel too, guys. YouTube, 431 subs. Let's get that up to 500 here by the end of this month. Go get some church merch in the link below. Thank you guys so much for listening to the Church of MMA podcast. My name is Mason Knight. That is Tabor Cragen. And until next time,
peace.